Hello, and welcome to the Drawhunter. I am your charming host, Kevin Cleary, and this is the only football gambling podcast where we don't pick any winners. We hunt for the result that pays better than those win bets. We hunt for the draw. Why this angle? Why do what we do here? Because there's no stopping it. Draws happen. I've been a sports bettor for a long time. I'm not going to tell you how long. I don't find value in even money bets. That's just me. Draws pay well, and they happen a lot. 30% of all pro matches end in a draw, and it's like this every season, worldwide, in all of the major leagues and international competitions. That's not random. That's not a fluke. That's a probability. And even if you want to bet on winners, and I do that too, running down the games through this kind of perspective is still a valuable handicapping tool, because betting on sports is about gathering as much useful information as possible so correct decisions can be made. So we look for the hidden value draws where the market is pricing outcomes too heavily towards the favorites or volatility. These fixtures combine low scoring averages, balanced possession, historical draw frequency, and market pricing that combine to give us the contrarian value we're looking for when making a draw bet. These are the games where parity equals a payoff. So let's start off talking about our winners from the last episode. That's my favorite part of the show. In the Championship League, we had a draw between Southampton versus Ipswich Town, and that draw paid $2.60. That game ended 2-2. It was a game full of a lot of goals and a lot of action, and some late scoring in the game for both teams, scoring after the 80th minute. Which made that one fun, and you can't argue with that. Plus 260, that's a nice result. In the Champions League on Wednesday, Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal came home for us also, 1-1 at the end of 90, and that is Arsenal. As I said, I think that was Arsenal's plan all along, to take the tie back home to England and win it there. So that one paid plus 220. And we had one loss, unfortunately. Den Bosch versus Almere City. Oh man, what a game! 2-2, and then in the 88th minute, Almere City scored a goal to win the game 3-2 and ruin a perfectly good draw. Why would they want to do something like that? I don't know. We'll have to ask them next time we see them. There are still two games to be played out of the 5 that we handicapped on Monday's episode. Nottingham Forest is playing Aston Villa, and Cercle Bruges is playing Zulte Waregem. Due to a travel schedule that I have this week, I'm recording this show, this episode a little early, so we don't have the results for those guys. They're playing tomorrow, but as always, we will update in our next episode as we do. Fingers crossed for those 2 games. So now let's get into the games and the picks. These games that I'm talking about today that we're handicapping in this episode take place May 1st through the 3rd, 2026. And actually, really May 2nd and 3rd, really, because I've got games for Saturday and Sunday. I don't have anything for Friday. But on Saturday, let's start off actually in the MLS over in the United States of America, where we've got the New York Red Bulls versus FC Dallas. Now we're 10 games into the MLS season, so we're getting some numbers that we can start to make some betting decisions on. This game is being played. The New York Red Bulls play in Harrison, New Jersey, so they're kind of like the Jets and the Giants in the American Football League, in the National Football League. They say they're from New York, but they play in New Jersey. That's cheating. Betting odds on this game. Well, the Red Bulls are even money. Dallas is plus 220. The draw is plus 290. And there are reasons for that, because the Red Bulls have the ball about 57% of the time, and Dallas only has the ball for about 46% of the time. The Red Bulls have scored 16 goals this season. Dallas has scored 18 goals this season, so those numbers are pretty close. The Red Bulls, who are the home favorite here, have allowed 25 goals in 10 games. I don't think I have to say anything more about that. Dallas has allowed 15 goals in those 10 games. Head-to-head, there's some history here. 2 out of the last 4 matches between these two guys teams rather ended in a draw, and they're low. They tend to be low-scoring, grindy matches with 1-1, a recurring theme. And as I said, we're 10 games into the MLS season, and Dallas already has 4 draws. The Red Bulls already have 3 draws. And this is a press-heavy Red Bulls team, and they're playing a cautious, ball-secure Dallas side that usually compresses space and chances. Both of these teams' profiles lean into very tight margins, and neither attack is consistently overpowering. Look at those goals allowed, 15 and 25, for gosh sake. This is a game that screams 1-1 to me. Now let's go over to England, where we have a game in the Premier League that looks ripe for the picking for us. We've got Brentford versus West Ham United. This is a home game in London for Brentford at Community Stadium. And Brentford is the home favorite, even money. West Ham is plus 245. The draw is plus 280. I've also seen it at plus 275. So find the best deal that you can at whatever book you can. The ball possession rates, we've got Brentford. They have the ball this season. They've had it about 47% of the time. West Ham, 43. They've been dealing with some issues, of course. Brentford has scored 49 goals this season. They've given up 46. West Ham, they've scored 42 goals this season. They're underwater, though. They've given up 58 goals. 2 out of the last 4 games between these two teams ended in a draw. There's several tight matches in their history recently, with both teams trading very narrow wins, with a draw frequency being very respectable in there. But check this out, okay? We're, 34 games into a 38-game season, and both of these teams have 9 draws, okay? 2 mid-table Premier League profiles with very similar goal differences and volatile form. Brentford's set edge piece is offset by West Ham's counter threat. This creates a tactical stalemate more often than not, according to everything that I've learned about the game over the years. You know, the odds are leaning towards Brentford at home here, but really the underlying numbers suggest that this is really a coin flip game, making the draw price at plus 280 super attractive. Now let's go over to Serie A. We've got a wonderful game between 2 of our favorite draw candidates, Udinese and Torino. Both of these teams have come home for us multiple times this season. This is a location, Udine. This is a home game for Udinese. They are plus 125. They're the home favorite. Torino's plus 225. The draw is plus 230. The ball possession rates of these teams are almost identical. Udinese has it 45% of the time. Torino is 44.6. So there you go. You don't get much closer than that. Udinese has scored 41 goals this season. Torino has scored 39 goals this season. Udinese has given up 46 goals this season, so they're a little bit underwater. Torino has given up 56 goals this season, so they're a bunch underwater. And this profile reflects what we just saw in the Brentford-West Ham game also. 2 out of the last 5 games between these two teams have ended in a draw. This is a classic Serie A grind. There are multiple 0-0, 1-1, and 1-goal games between these two teams in recent seasons. Both sides are very low-tempo, defense-first outfits with limited attacking ceilings. Torino's slight quality edge is actually blunted away from home, and Udinese's conservative approach keeps games in a very narrow scoring band. Everything here screams 0-0 or 1-1 to me, and at plus 230, I think this is a wonderful spot for us this weekend. Now let's go over to Bundesliga. Again, I love the Bundesliga. Again, last year, remember, they had more draws. They had the highest percentage of draws. They had 33% of the draws of all the games in their league ended in a draw in the Bundesliga last year. And they're on pace to be the leading league again this year. We've got Werder Bremen versus FC Augsburg. And Bremen is minus 109. So they're kind of getting into prohibitive favorite territory here. Augsburg is plus 260. The draw is plus 290. Bremen have the ball about 51% of the time in their games. Augsburg have the ball about 45% of the time in their games. Bremen has scored 39 goals this season. They've given up 54. Augsburg has scored 50 goals this season. They've given up 55. So even with that higher goal scoring number, they are still underwater. 2 out of the last 4 games were draws. We had a 1-1, a 2-2. These are very historically competitive matches between these two teams. The goal patterns are fairly even. Bremen has 7 draws already this season. Augsburg has 8. These are 2 mid-table Bundesliga sides with very similar goal profiles and modest possession numbers. Both score and concede at very healthy rates, which keeps matches open, but it also makes the leads that they hold fragile. Given the statistical closeness, the history, and Bremen's not overwhelmingly home edge here, the draw price, plus 290, looks like a great value spot for this weekend. So those were 4 games for us on Saturday. Now let's go over to Sunday, and we're going to go back to England, where we've got Bournemouth playing Crystal Palace in the Premier League at Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth is minus 149. Crystal Palace is plus 380. The draw is plus 340. You can hear the incredulity in my voice here, and you're going to see why in a few minutes when we go over some of these numbers and the history here. Bournemouth has the ball about 50% of the time in their games. Palace has the ball about 47% of the time in their games. Bournemouth, being minus 149 as a betting odds here, they've scored 52 goals this season. They've allowed 52 goals scored. Palace has scored 36 goals. They've allowed 39. Very comparable there. But here's the thing. It's almost like they're not looking at the history when they're laying down these rules. These odds for these teams sometimes. Because let's go over the last 3 games between these two teams. The last game was 3-3. The game before that was 0-0. The game before that was 0-0. So the last 3 games between these two teams ended in a draw. Bournemouth has 7 goals this season. Palace has 10. These are 2 mid-table Premier League sides with really nearly identical statistical profiles. Neither dominates possession. Both rely on counterattacks. Both struggle to break down low blocks. I'm sorry, I don't see where those prohibitive favorite odds for Bournemouth come into play here. I think this game is going to end in a draw. This is a classic low-event draw candidate. Let's go over to La Liga. We've got another couple of our favorite teams that have paid off and made us so much money this season. Getafe versus Rayo Vallecano in La Liga Coliseum. Alfonso Perez, Getafe's home stadium, is where this game is being played. The betting odds, well, Getafe's even money. Rayo is plus 290. The draw is plus 220. Getafe has the ball about 40% of the time. Rayo has the ball about 50% of the time. Getafe has scored 28 goals this season. They've allowed 34. Rayo has scored 33 goals this season. They've allowed 41. So you've got 2 teams that are both equally underwater here in their goals scored and goals allowed. Getafe has 5 draws this season. Rayo has 12 goals, 12 draws this season already. Now let's talk about the history here, because this is another one of those bet to win on one of these teams at your peril. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need a second hand for the 6th finger. 6 out of the last 8 games ended in a draw between these two teams. This is one of Spain's most draw-heavy derbies. This is a derby, by the way, also. Multiple 0-0s and 1-1 results going back. Again, bet the win on one of these teams at your peril. 6 out of 8 games ended in a draw. The last 8 games. Come on. And again, let me go over that number again. Getafe has 5 draws this season. Rayo has 12. And when they're on the road, that's when they bring a lot of these draws home. Okay. Madrid Derby. It's a Madrid Derby with 2 very defensive, low tempo sides that are both underwater with their goals scored and allowed. Neither creates a lot of high quality chances in a consistent basis. This game is one of the strongest draw profiles on the entire slate this weekend, no matter what country you're talking about, period. So let's leave Spain and go next door to France in Ligue 1, where we've got Strasbourg hosting a game against Toulouse in Strasbourg. And Strasbourg being the home team, they're the favorite. They're plus 135. Toulouse is plus 190. The draw is plus 250. Strasbourg has the ball about 52% of the time. Toulouse has the ball about 45% of the time. Strasbourg has scored 49 goals this season. They've allowed 39. Toulouse has scored 43. They've allowed 44. Very close there. There's only one draw in the last 4 games that these two teams have played, but there's a whole bunch of like 1-1s and stuff like that in recent years if you keep going back. Strasbourg has 7 draws this season already. Toulouse has 8. These are 2 evenly matched mid-table sides with nearly identical statistical profiles again. I don't think either of them have the firepower on the pitch to separate from the other. So there you go. Now let's go one more time back to Germany, to the Bundesliga, where we've got a couple of our this is Old Town favorite. This is like reunion weekend at campus, right? St. Pauli versus Mainz 05. This game is located in Hamburg on Sunday. St. Pauli is plus 175. Mainz is the away favorite here at plus 155, but that's practically a pick'em price between the two of them. The draw is plus 230. St. Pauli, their possession rate's about 44%. Mainz is at 43. St. Pauli has scored 26 goals this season, and guess what? They've allowed 53. Boy, are they underwater. They're drowning. Mainz has scored 39 goals this season. They've allowed 49 goals this season. They might not be drowning, but they are definitely taking on water. So, history, well, the last game was a 0-0 draw. So why not this one, right? Historically, they're tight. There's several 1-1s in their history and some things like that. But both of these teams play a compact, structured football. Neither consistently creates high-quality chances. For me, that means this is a very strong 1-1 final score profile. So that's 8 games that make a great case for a draw bet. But this week, we have a new feature bet of the week. And it's called the Lucy. It's a weekly accumulator or parlay bet, picking some of our best games for a great $1 or £1, depending on where you're betting. Parlay or accumulator wager, because winning money shouldn't cost a lot, right? This is named after one of our listeners who is making this kind of bet with my picks, and it's a fun idea, so let's go. This week's Lucy has 4 matches in it. And the first one is Getafe versus Rayo Vallecano in La Liga at plus 220. The second game on the second leg has FC St. Pauli versus Mainz 05 in the Bundesliga at plus 230. The third leg is Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace in the Premier League at plus 300. Strasbourg versus Toulouse is the last leg of this accumulator parlay. In Ligue 1, they're plus 250, and a $1 parlay of those 4 teams at those prices, at least at the time of our recording, the prices might change. A $1 parlay of those 4 teams would pay, if it won, it would pay $14,684 or 10,879 British pounds. If we drop the St. Pauli or Mainz game from that and make it a 3-game accumulator, this would be a $4,380 payout or 3,244 pounds for the same $1, £1 bet. Payouts obviously will vary with bookies, but there you go. We've got our inaugural Lucy and a Lucy Junior. No matter what level you play, payoffs like that make for fun wagering. And handicapping games like this should be fun. They're super challenging, because we're trying to do something that's really difficult and very and not easy, but it should be fun. I think so anyway. And, that's why we're doing this, right? Alas, sometimes fun does come to an end. And that's it for this episode of the Drawhunter. I am still your charming and fun, very fun host, Kevin Cleary. New episodes drop twice a week, Mondays for all the midweek action, Thursdays for the weekend slate. Please subscribe to our show. You can do it at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts, probably. Give us a like. Give us a great review. If you have any questions, comments, you can email us at drawhunterpodcast@gmail.com. From the entire Drawhunter team, thank you for listening. And remember, there's no stopping it. Draws happen. Gambling involves risk. Please gamble responsibly. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. No guarantees are made regarding results or financial gain. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. You must be of legal age to participate in gambling activities. Check your local laws and regulations before placing any bets. This podcast was made by humans, except no substitutes.